Hi, my name is Soleil and welcome back to my channel. Today we're discussing some recently watched movies. So I'm recapping some movies that I watched over the last couple months. And I've got my trusty iced latte here. So let's get started. First, we have the third movie in the Star Wars prequels, which is Revenge of the Sith. This is my first time watching Star Wars. Listen, don't yell at me. I just kind of miss the moment when everyone watched Star Wars when they were younger. I don't come from a large Star Wars family, and then at some point it just got to I got to the age where it felt like I really wanted to have it be like an experience, which my first time watching the first Star Wars movie was an experience. We did themed snacks. It was like a whole night. It was for May the 4th. I don't think last year, maybe the year before. I think so. And it was amazing. So now I am continuing my Star Wars journey, and Revenge of the Sith was so flipping good. Oh my gosh. I was shocked. I was amazed. I was on the edge of my seat for all of it. 5-star film, like truly amazing. It was just excellent. Oh my god, I can't wait to rewatch it. I won't be rewatching any of them until I've done like a full run through. I want to do a full run through in timeline order, and then we'll see if I want to watch them in a different order. I like timeline order. I think it makes the most sense personally, but we shall see. It is my first time, so I'm keeping an open mind, but I loved it so much. Next, I watched Dune 2, which I need to put a huge disclaimer on my Dune 2 experience because it was a subpar experience, and I don't know if I can count having seen this movie, honestly, because I went on a work trip to Rwanda and Tanzania. I came back, my flight back, listen, I am a full believer in being able to reset time change very quickly, and I have flown a lot of international flights through my life, so I know the tricks. I know what to do to immediately put myself on the right sleeping schedule. So jet lag is real, but you can conquer it. So on my way back, we had a flight going from Europe back to the US, and I decided to stay up for that entire flight and not sleep because I wanted to get home at 1 a.m. and then fall asleep and then wake up at 7 and be fully reset and not sleep in, which it worked. I did reset my time very well because anyways you wake up a lot earlier coming back from Europe, so I knew that if I could exhaust myself to the point that I would just automatically sleep and not wake up at 5, then it would work. I still woke up at 6 or 7, but I usually wake up at that time. So I did manage to reset myself, but I still had just come back from a 2-week work trip. I still had only gotten 5 hours of sleep. So all of that to say that afternoon, the day that I came home at 1 a.m. is when I watched Dune 2 with my friends. So I was feeling good. I was feeling energized. I was so looking forward to watching Dune 2 because it had come out the weekend before and I had missed it because of said work trip. I already told my friends, I don't expect you to wait for me, because we had planned on seeing it that opening weekend. I'm but don't tell me any spoilers, but if it's good and you want to rewatch it, I will be watching it the next weekend when I'm back. And they all immediately said yes to that right after they saw it. So I was okay, it must be good if they want to immediately seeing it again the following weekend, this 3.5-hour movie. So it starts off good, I'm enjoying it, we're having a good time. Then we get to hour 2 of this 3.5-hour movie. It's probably 3 hours, but listen, I was in that theater for a long time, so for my sake I'm gonna say it's 3.5 hours long. And I started to feel it. I was fully dissociating out of my body. Vision was completely, I was going cross-eyed trying to stay awake in this dark cozy theater with the lounge chairs. I was doing everything in my power. So I started chugging my Coke slushie because I was like, okay, I need I need some caffeine in my system. I put my chair like upright. I was eating my candy and it was not working. I tried so hard to stay awake and I just kept like so many times. So truth be told, I didn't see like most of the second half of this film, and this film is dense. There's a lot of like politics going on. So I saw like snippets of battles, and then I was kind of awake for like the last 10 to 15 minutes because I finally felt like, okay, I can escape and I can go sleep after this. And the whole final scene, I was like, who is that? Why are they fighting? Why is she pissed off? What's going on? So I gave this movie a preliminary 3 stars, which don't be mad. Don't be mad. It's a preliminary 3 stars. And once I actually see the full thing again, I'm sure it's going to change once I actually have that full experience. But from what I saw, which again was like half the film, it was a 3-star film because I was like, what is happening? I know what you're gonna say. I know you're gonna be yelling at me like, Soleil, you can't rate the movie if you only saw half of it. I'm like, well, I was there. I wasn't like sleeping. I was just like outside of my body and I was going fully cross-eyed for the duration of that film. So like, was I mentally present? No, but I was awake. So next I watched Solo, A Star Wars Story. So the thing about Solo is I liked it. I didn't love it. And I think it's because I was confused. So we're watching the Star Wars movies in order, right? And there's something about this movie and it just felt out of place. Like, I know it's in the right place in the timeline, but for some reason the whole time I was just kind of confused when this is happening because it just feels so far removed. I don't know if that's because they made it like 30, 40 something years later, but I just felt kind of confused on like what was happening and if these characters showed up later. So I think this movie would make more sense once I've seen everything and once I can fully feel the impacts, because this movie, you want to know what it is? This movie, I think specifically was made thinking that you've already seen what Han Solo does later, because it felt like there were a lot of little tidbits that were like little nods to what he does later and who he becomes. I don't know any of that. I don't know who Han Solo is. I don't know what he does. I know he's played by that one guy. I've seen photos, I've seen memes, but I don't know what he does. I know nothing about this man. So I think they made this movie assuming that everyone, correctly assuming that everyone who was seeing it knew who Han Solo was and already had that background and they didn't need to like explain it. They could just throw you into the action. But I didn't know that. So I was like, what is he doing? Who is he? What's his purpose? And they were just like, you already know. We don't need to tell you. I didn't know. So it was a good film. I objectively gave it like a 4-star. For me, it was more like a 3.5 because I had a good time. I was just very confused. And I think objectively, it would be a 4 once I have all of that background and once I know what's going on. But it was a good time. It was a good film. I enjoyed it. So if you've seen my recently watched list, you'll know that I watched Jack Whitehall's newest special, Settle Down, that just came out in 2024, and I loved it. So after I watched that one, I decided to go back and watch his other previous 2 specials on Netflix, comedy specials. And the first one that I watched was Jack Whitehall at Large. This was the first special he'd done on Netflix. It was pretty funny. I had a good time. Since I watched all 3 of his specials in like pretty close timeline, I don't really remember the difference between some of them. I remember how I felt about each of the 3, but I couldn't tell you a specific joke from like his previous 2. Like the first one that I watched, that's his newest one, that one's a little more distinct in my mind, but the other 2 I watched them like on back-to-back nights, so they're a bit of a blur. But I do know that his second one that came out in 2020, which was Settle Down, I enjoyed that one more than his 2017 one. And I feel like maybe it would have been like a nicer progression to watch them in order of timeline, because once I saw his previous two, they feel like they really tie into the themes that his 2024 comedy special Settle Down does. So I think it would have been nice to see that progression if I'd started with the one in 2017, At Large, and then gone to 2020, Settle Down, and then now I've confused all of the names. Gone to the 2021 and then to the 2024 one. I think that would have been a nice progression. He does a lot of themes on like family and relationship that you can really see how he progresses both as a comedian and as a person, and like his life and his history through those specials. So that was really interesting. I love his comedy style. He has like the exact right comedy style for my sense of humor. I did give his 2017 special At Large 3.5 stars, and his 2020 special I'm Only Joking, that's what it is, 4 stars, because I enjoyed that one a little bit more and I connected with some of the jokes more and I was laughing out loud more for those. Yeah. Next, I watched Irish Wish, which is the newest Lindsay Lohan. It's technically a rom-com. It's not funny. Like I wasn't laughing throughout it, but it's technically a rom-com on Netflix, and it is what I would refer to as trash. In the most respectful way possible, it is a trash romance. And you know, like, it has its place. It has its place in cinema. I watched it when I needed to watch some trash romance, and I had a decent time. It's not good, but it is entertaining and it's a fairly enjoyable experience. She like goes to Ireland for her wedding, and then no, she goes to Ireland to be the bridesmaid of her best friend who's marrying the man that she's been in love with, and then she has like some magical moment by a tree and she makes a wish that she was actually marrying this man, and then that's like, you know, her wish comes true, but then like something happens and it's all very dramatic, and the whole like ending sequence just like made me cringe so hard. But the romance, like the romantic interest in this movie is excellent, is amazing, wonderful, what a guy. Everything else, trash. I gave this 3 stars, maybe, like a low 3 stars. I had a good time. Let's not kid ourselves. Then I watched Ghostbusters Frozen Empire with my friend LB. I was really looking forward to this movie. The thing is, I've seen the original Ghostbusters, I've seen the remake of the original Ghostbusters, and I loved the remake. I love the idea of Ghostbusters. I'm obsessed with Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters, listen, it just doesn't age well. I just don't think it's that great of a film. It has so much potential. It has funny characters. The like plot and the actual idea of Ghostbusters is phenomenal. It's just, it's not funny to me. Like, I've watched it and I think I turned it off like 20 minutes before the end because I just didn't care really. And there's just a lot of things where you're just like, ugh, you know, is that just me? But the remake of the original Ghostbusters, amazing. So good. Hilarious. Kate McKinnon, ugh, love her. Amazing. Melissa McCarthy, ugh, amazing. Excellent film. So I have not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I hadn't realized connected to this movie. Like, the newer Ghostbusters cinematic universe really confused me because there's the old Ghostbusters, which there's like 2, maybe 3 movies of, but then there was the remake. But then with Ghostbusters Afterlife, it was like not connected to the remake. So I was like, okay, what is this now? And then now we had Frozen Empire. So I just assumed none of the new ones were connected and we were just like going rogue. But apparently, yes, it was connected. And I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if I'd seen Afterlife. But also Afterlife looks, it's even now, like looking at what Afterlife is about, I don't see the plot. It seems very weird and boring, but I haven't seen it, so I can't speculate on it, you know? back to Frozen Empire. This movie had a lot of potential. I loved like the younger teen played by McKenna Grace. Love her, obsessed with her. She has like some kind of like almost romance with a ghost. Oh, amazing. That storyline, phenomenal. Paul Rudd can do no wrong. His humor throughout this movie, I was cackling. It was me and like the dads in the back. Like we were the only ones who found his jokes funny, and it was perfect. I loved it. But overall, like, I just felt a little underwhelmed. I wanted a little bit more like classic humor. I wanted the plot to feel a little more structured. It felt more like they were like, oh, we need a problem for this movie. Let's create like this whole backstory about this ancient god that's been trapped in a sphere who gets loose, and then, oh no, a problem that we've never foreseen. Too many ghosts in the trapment box or whatever. And then it's like disaster and everyone gets frozen and doesn't die somehow. So that whole side of the plot it just felt like a throwaway kind of. And then, you know, this all-powerful god somehow gets vanquished. So that was 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it, but eh. Next movie I watched was Iron Claw. Listen, what you need to know about Iron Claw is it's not a light-hearted film. I thought it was going to be. I watched this movie with my friend Kayla on like a fun like movie night, catch-up night. I thought this was like, you know, band of brothers, family, things happen kind of movie. No, this shit is dark. Like, this film is dark. It is amazing. It is so well done. It should have gotten all of the awards. I'm surprised that it didn't. I don't even know if it got any nominations. I don't think it did. The acting is phenomenal. All of the brothers in this, amazing. Zac Efron does an excellent job. The father's acting, so good. The plot, amazing. How they managed to like tell this story in such a like, it feels like a really like respectful and heartfelt manner while also dealing with like the true story of what happened. So well done. But yeah, this is dark. There's a lot of dark things that happen. It's all based off of true story, and like it is gut-wrenching, but it is so well done. It is so good. So I gave this one 4 stars. Next, I saw Monkey Man. Directed by Dev Patel, produced by Jordan Peele. I had read all of the articles coming up to this movie's release about how long it took Dev Patel to create this film because he ran out of his budget so many times, and then Jordan Peele was able to finance the rest of the movie so that it could like reach our cinemas, which is an amazing story. Dev Patel got injured so many times while filming this, and worth it. Honestly, worth it. This film was phenomenal. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I didn't know a lot about the plot or what was really in store for me before I went to see this. And honestly, for the better. Like, I'd seen all of the trailers. I was excited. The trailers just don't give away a lot of like what's going to happen later on in the film. It gives you an idea of like the character and how he's kind of like a street fighter, and he wears this monkey masks and he's like a really great fighter. But beyond that, you don't really know what the story is about or where it's going to go, and for the better, because I had no clue where we were going on this story, and it was amazing. Highly recommend, like 4.5 star film. The last movie we're going to talk about today is The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I was really excited about this movie. The cast looked excellent. It's a Guy Ritchie film. The trailer made it look like kind of an action adventure, but like also just like a fun time. And it was. And this movie really reminds me of the same kind of like action but comedic style of Kingsman. I love Kingsman. One of my favorite movies of all time. The first one, the second one kind of let me down, but I love the style of Kingsman where it's like intense action. It's like very like sharp editing, but then also kind of funny and raunchy at the same time. Same vibe as The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This was a fascinating story. It's based on a true story, which I didn't even know going in. I thought this was just like a fun time. No, this is all based off of a true story about in World War II when, was it MI6? I think MI6 brought together like a group of guys that all had different skill sets in trying to take down a Nazi base camp where a lot of the Nazi submarines were in like a small island chain off the coast of Africa, I think. It was something like that. And it was so well done. I had such a good time. This was a 5-star movie for me. Loved it, would love to watch it again. So those are all of the movies that I have recently watched. Please let me know what you've recently seen, what you recommend, whether it is on streaming in cinemas or on DVD. Let me know what you enjoyed, what you absolutely hated, and what I should definitely check out. But otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye!